My final project was based off the work of Jorden B Peterson. And Jorden B Peterson is a psychologist and was a former professor at McGill University, Harvard University, and the University of Toronto. Jorden Peterson has gone around the whole world, around 150 or so countries. The guy has managed to have seminars, talks, speeches, essentially trying to determine and define, the purpose of life, religiously, psychologically, and mentally, was to resolve the problems of evil, because they are part of the same coin. My first question was, what are the distinguishing factors between tragedy and evil? Well, first you want to start with tragedy. Tragedy is being, essentially. We're all born feeble. We're all going to die one day. We're all vulnerable. One can die as easily with a gut wound as with diarrhea. We're so capable of killing. There's illness, earthquakes, all those things. And the thing is, that it is what it is, essentially. That's how life is. Evil is a different matter, though. Evil is something we, as a society, as people, as individuals, choose to do. It's unnecessary, and it's voluntarily. We choose to steal from people, we choose to kill people, we choose to do minor crimes, but all the same follow some sort of evil act that affects the environment and the people all around us, whether we don't notice it or not. As a kind of answer for my previous question, why is it okay to have tragedy and not evil? Evil is unnecessary. It's an extra layer that we piece on this tragic life you're already set to live. What lies behind tragedy is the possibility of purpose. We have the possibility to live a meaningful life if we can overcome the greatness and the harshness of our own tragedies, of our own characteristic flaws, of our own lineage, of our own misdeeds, whether it was by us, our family, or our species. If we don't choose to overcome those things, if we choose to make it harder for others and ourselves, if we choose to still kill and do all sorts of crimes, we're not living a tragic life. We're leading an evil one, and we're making a greater hell for all of us. We need to accept the vulnerabilities that come with life, so that we can make a life. Hopefully, we can find one that is worth living for, that is meaningful and purposeful. My third question was, why is vulnerability necessary? As kind of mentioned before, our vulnerabilities, our tragedies lead to some sort of meaning. They allow us to see something further past the hell that we might have to endure to live a life we find meaningful. And one of the best examples that Jorden Peterson said that explained why we love, we care for, whether there are children or not. We care for children even though they're so vulnerable, so pathetic, so limited. We care for them because of those very things. A child could die at any moment by any little thing so easily, yet we care for them. Why would that be? The answer is pretty simple. When you think of God, God is this omnipotent being. He's all-knowing, all-capable. There's nothing that is greater than Him. He is the pinnacle of what it means to be a great being. The only thing, the one single thing that he lacks is limitation and vulnerability. Those are the only two things he lacks. When you look at a child, and if you were to make him a god, if you were to make him robotic, nothing could hurt him, he's Superman. You take everything away, every single thing away that made that child beautiful, made that child what it was. Yes, it was flawed. Yes, it was vulnerable. But it had the possibility to live a meaningful life. That is what it means to take a life. To take upon your own life, to be meaningful. Being is intertwined with meaning when you allow yourself to overcome your own tragic flaws and limitations, your own vulnerabilities. My fourth question was, why would people avoid responsibilities? It's a difficult task to overcome. When people are asked to walk with God, whether it has to do with religious matters or not, it's not really the issue of religious matters that one should be concerned. The main concern with walking with God is essentially walking with the best being ever imaginable to all possible realities. God is all-powerful, all-knowing. He's supposed to be the best. He is the representation of beauty. He's the representation of all that can be best. And when you compare yourself to such a being, you are none of those things. You can die so easily. You're so vulnerable. You're so ugly compared to the beautiful. Why would you walk with such greatness? The beautiful shames the ugly. Whether it intends to or not, that's the point really is. That's how it is, because that's how it works. It is what it is. And so many people find it very difficult to deal with their issues, deal with their responsibilities, because to deal with the responsibilities means essentially to reflect on your own weaknesses, to look back and see, okay, I failed at this. Why did my relationship end like this? Why am I dirt poor? Why am I an alcoholic? To realize all those things, to look at those things, is to look at a monster. And what people fear most, more than anything, is that they'll be nothing more than a weak, feeble, ugly monster. But what will benefit them most is to take the remedy, which is the most difficult remedy really, is to uphold, reflect, and take up the responsibility. But it's also very easy to see why people would avoid it so profoundly and so consistently. My last question is, how does the relationship with belief and God affect how people live their lives? The best example really has to do with the story of Cain and Abel, as mentioned before by Jorden B Peterson. Cain and Abel are the two opposites of the same coin. They are a tragic story. Abel and Cain is the evil side of the coin. They both share a path of tragedy in a sense, but the main difference is that Abel chose to uphold the tragedies that befell him, the limitations of being a human, and he became loved by the sacrifices he gave. Everyone loved him. He was the best. Cain hated, was resentful, gave half-hearted attempts, gave half-hearted sacrifices. He did give it his all. When he asked God why he was troubled like this, he was told to give half-hearted attempts is a sin. Once he heard that, he killed his brother. Obviously, people would limit and avoid their lives like this. It would have a profound effect for everyone. It would have lots of people bending reality to make it their own. These are my sources. I hope you enjoy this, Professor. I'll put a link for these sources down below. It's a little bit long, but I hope that's okay.